Hi, Steve Blythe from J.Racenstein, and this is the 110 volt H2Pro Max. Using it as a demonstration to what to do for receiving your new system and starting it up. So this is brand new from the factory, and there's a couple things that the manual will have you do. The first thing is to flush the carbon filter, and then we'll want to check our input and output water pressures and our TDS and water flow. So real quick, here we go. Alright, I've received it, and the first thing you'll notice is this little tag that says be sure to flush your carbon filter. Since this is on top up here, it's a little difficult to let it just bubble over. So what I'm going to do is to remove the tube from the input water meter and use it here to divert the water flow away from the unit. Put it in the top of the RO. Now I've got a nice place for my water. So now we're going to hook up the input water to the machine, and right before I do that, I'm going to test the TDS to the local area. We're usually around 300 here. So get a cap full of water. TDS tester 313 is our number for today. Now I've tested the TDS, and I'm going to hook it up to the machine. So I've diverted the carbon flush water off to this little hose, so I'm going to put a bucket to capture that, and you'll see why it's important to do that. Turn on the water a little bit here. Let it fill up the container. The water originally comes out a little bit black from the carbon. And now it's clear, so we flushed that out. We just really don't want this black water that's in there to be have to be extra filtered by the ROs. Reconnect the RO now into the system. When you receive yours, you'll have this black cap inserted in the top of this. You'll want to remove it, flush the carbon filter like we just did. Now we're reconnected, and I'm going to let the water go through the system. And first step is to make sure that the flush valve is wide open on the back, and the water is going to go into the ROs alongside the RO membranes and out the flush tap. I've already hooked a hose up to my flush water here and diverted it off a scene over here. So now we're nice and flushed out. We've taken our minute or two, and what I'm going to do is to turn on the water production mode, which is to turn this to Tighten. And the water will start now flowing through the RO membrane and out into the DI. So we've now converted from RO rinse into RO permeate or RO water production. On the Max systems, there is a RO valve here that allows you to bypass that water and not send the water into your DI cartridge. It can also be used for creating production RO water. So now that I'm running the system for a little while, I'm going to test the RO water. So by disconnecting the hose here, it's the easiest place for me to test the RO output, and this is prior to going into the DI cartridge. Here the DI is off at this point, so we're just producing RO water and we're not going into the DI. The reason that you want to test your RO water from time to time is to see the efficiency of the RO. And this RO bypass valve is included in the H2Pro Maxes because when you let a system sit or it travels and jiggles, you'll get a little RO creep. And for the first few gallons of RO production after that, you'll get some high TDS till the RO settles down. That valve allows you to flush out that extra bit and not have to worry about putting it through the DI resin and consuming the DI resin for no extra reason. So I've got some RO water, I'm going to test it. And I'm producing at 25 ppm, which is great for the first few minutes of production. From 313 down to 25 is what we're seeing out of the RO on these new filters. Falling now down towards 20. So over time that should get down into the teens. So satisfied with the RO production, I can now hook this up to the DI, turning off the RO water and opening up the water into the DI. I'll allow my water to flow into the DI resin module. And this, I've hooked up a hose already to route that off-site. This is the DI water that you use to clean the windows with. So now what I have here is I have my RO bypass water, which is taking the water that was deemed to be high TDS and flowing it out of the RO membrane. And I have my pure water coming out after the DI. So we're going to test both of those. Pure water is testing at 0, as it should. 0. And we were at 300 here, 313. And my bypass water is coming out at 826. So still good for plants and shrubbery and other places that you might dump this RO water into, but we'll spot up real quick on other surfaces. So there you have it. You've now set up your system. And one thing you'll probably want to do is take a baseline test of water production out of it. So I've got my bucket. I'm going to set it down next to the machine. I'm going to turn on my pump. So we're going to want to now test the output of your new system and get a baseline for how much water it's producing. And the water production is based upon two things: the amount of water pressure that's against the RO membrane, and then the temperature of the water on any given day that you're using it. So many TDS meters will have a temperature reading, as this one does in its mode button. So I'm going to grab some wastewater and see what the temperature here is out of the wastewater. And we are at 20 degrees C, or 70 degrees, 69.2 degrees F. So we are at 20 degrees C, or 69 degrees Fahrenheit for my input water temperature. When water temperature falls, you'll get less production, and when water temperature rises, you'll get more water production out of the system. So it's 69 degrees today, and no pump turned on. I'm getting probably sufficient water for one pole. We'll turn on our pump. And now I'm getting more water flow out of the system. So the way I like to do a test of water production is to set my timer for 3 minutes. I use my pocket watch, known as a cell phone, with a timer application that I got online, and get my stopwatch and hit clear and go. And put it into your bucket. I like to go for 3 minutes and then divide the results of how much water is in the bucket by 3. So we'll wait for that. Alright, our 3 minutes are up, and I'm going to stop my app and review how much water I've been able to produce in my bucket. Three and a half gallons was produced, just about a little more than 3.5 gallons, so about 1 gallon and 15% of a gallon, right near the manufacturer rating of about 1.1 or 1.2 at 70 degrees. So I'm happy with this unit. It's producing low TDS out of the RO and 0 TDS out of the DI, and I'm ready to put it into making money.